Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Troy. So, in what appears to be a very coordinated move, Governor DeSantis in Florida and Governor Abbott in Texas have shipped migrants from the border to other cities, other locations, in an apparent, disgusting PR stunt. But they didn't inform the locations that they were shipping these people to. They were not informed that these people would be coming. Check out this video from Governor J.B. Pritzker in Illinois talking about the migrants arriving in Chicago and how people in the authorities in Chicago were just not prepared and were not informed that they would be coming. Check this out.
The governor of the state of Texas is choosing not to notify the city or the state when he is sending busloads of families. The state government of Texas has been non-responsive when agencies like Human Services, Public Health, State Police, or Emergency Management reach out to them. We hear about buses arriving only through unofficial means. For example, from Texas nonprofit organizations on the ground that are attempting to help these migrants. And that's not because they're receiving any official notice from the state of Texas either. No, in many cases, it's because they've just literally watched the bus drive by. The NGOs don't know who is on the buses, and the governor of Texas is choosing not to tell them or to tell Chicago how many people are on the buses before they arrive. They won't tell us how many infants, or children, seniors, or families are on board. They won't tell us what route they take or when they will arrive. They won't provide any information that would actually help their fellow Americans welcome and care for these human beings. What the governor of Texas is doing is a stunt, and he's playing games with people's lives. We have tried to direct the buses to reception centers in Chicago that we have prepared for the arrivals. But the state of Texas instead chooses to send them to Union Station, dumping these human beings off in the dead of night.
As someone who worked in social services with immigrants and homeless individuals and foster youth, this is absolutely horrific. You know, it's one thing if you want to ship these people to somewhere with additional resources where they can get extra help, or if you're so overwhelmed you need another jurisdiction to come in and take some of the pressure off. That's fine. That's not what this is. Clearly, from this Pritzker video, they didn't inform anybody that these people were coming, that they were doing this, that they were shipping these people, and that's clearly what they were doing. They were herding these people onto buses, onto planes, and shipping them. They didn't tell them where they were going. We're learning that in many cases they were lied to and told that there would be work for them where they were going. And then they just dumped them off. They dumped them off in front of the Naval Observatory, which is where Kamala Harris lives. It's the traditional home of the vice president. They took them to Martha's Vineyard. They took them to Chicago, but not to places where they could get help. They literally just left them on the street. They just dumped them off and left them on the street, not coordinating with anybody, not coordinating with social services on the ground, not coordinating with government agencies. This is absolutely horrific. And it demonstrates, again, that this was purely a PR move, a coordinated PR move to try and score some political points with the far-right MAGA extremists in this country. But this is absolutely nothing more than human trafficking and kidnapping. This reminds me of the Trump border policy, the family separation policy at the border, where children were removed from their parents and the parents were deported and we held on to the children for several months. That was kidnapping. That was purely kidnapping. This is the worst move. This is the worst thing that these MAGA Republicans have done since then. These were families. There was children. There is children among these groups of migrants that were now shipped to these random places with no advance warning, to places like cities, Chicago, New York City, that are already overwhelmed with their own issues. Their resources are already strained. And to now just add thousands of these migrants with no advance warning clearly was designed to produce a state where these locales, these jurisdictions would be absolutely overwhelmed because of the optics of that. It was purely about the optics of these locations, these jurisdictions that were not prepared for the arrival of these migrants, just the shot, just the optics of those locales being overwhelmed by the arrival of the migrants. That's the entire point of this. That's the entire point of this move, the optics of that. But the most interesting thing about this is, while Fox News and the garbage right-wing Twitter seem to just be primed this morning with just tweet after tweet after tweet after tweet of, look at all these sanctuary cities and all these Democratic-run cities and left-wing areas who are now overwhelmed by the arrival of these sudden arrival of these migrants. Look at how overwhelmed they are. Well, of course they were overwhelmed. These places are not prepared to deal with a sudden influx of thousands of people. Martha's Vineyard is not suddenly prepared to deal with the influx of thousands of people. So of course it looked like they were overwhelmed. But the most amazing thing about this is that the people in these areas are stepping up. Look at this. Look at what's going on in Martha's Vineyard. Look at this. The people in Martha's Vineyard are actually stepping up and providing help to these folks, providing care, shelter, food, trying to figure out what to do. And that's what we do. That's what our side does. We step up, we help, we care for people. The talking point on the right has constantly been, why don't we just, if you support these undocumented immigrants, why don't you take them in? Well, the people in Martha's Vineyard are doing that. The people in Martha's Vineyard are stepping up and taking them in. Despite this just horrific political stunt that these absolutely horrific MAGA Republicans, these disgusting MAGA Republicans have pulled. This is utterly shocking, and we cannot let them get away with this. Let's call it what it is. This is human trafficking and kidnapping. This is criminal. This is a violation of human rights. This is absolutely horrific. So we'll keep on this. We'll keep watching this and see what happens. But again, not shipping human beings to areas where they are not, where the local jurisdictions are not prepared to receive them, and just dumping people on the sidewalk. That's for a photo opportunity and a tweet. That's what these people do. That's what these MAGA extremists do. It's just absolutely horrific. For MeidasTouch, this is Troy. Smash the subscribe button to keep supporting independent media.
This November is Rowvember. MeidasTouch just released its brand new collection of Rowvember t-shirts and pins to let the country know what's at stake this upcoming midterm election. Go to store.meidastouch.com to grab yours. That's store.meidastouch.com.